I think I'm gonna fill it with coffee ice cream and whipped cream and put chocolate sauce on the top. Okay, so I'm gonna whip egg whites, and we're gonna turn these egg whites into meringue. Making meringue is whipping the egg whites to put in a souffle. It's basically all the same process. So the first thing is you have your egg whites, which are in this bowl, and they have to be room temperature. They can even be slightly warm. They absolutely don't want to be cold. So you've separated your eggs when they're cold because they separate better, but then you want to whip your egg whites when they're room temperature. So in this bowl, I have 4 egg whites. I'm going to put in a big pinch of salt, and I'm going to have a whisk, the whisk attachment to a beater, but it's fine if you do it with the whisk attachment of a handheld electric mixer. By hand with a whisk, it's really sure. Turn it on low. Now that's another important thing in whisking egg whites, is you start it on a low speed and you slowly raise the speed. Once it begins to get a little bit foamy, just a little bit, you add cream of tartar. This is not necessary, but it's really, really helpful. In the olden days, they always whisked egg whites in copper bowls because there was some chemical the copper gave off that helped the egg whites expand. And whatever cream of tartar is, which I'm a little unclear, it does the same thing as the copper. So you don't have to do it, but it really, really helps. Raise the speed a little bit. And really it's just a waiting process. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna slowly raise the speed, and once the egg whites become opaque, you start adding the sugar really, really, really slowly. So now it's time to add the sugar. You add it a little bit at a time at the beginning. Some people say you add a tablespoon at a time. You can also just add it like that, just in a slow, steady stream. Okay, so now all the sugar is in. You raise the speed all the way up. Let's look at this. You turn it off, you check it. Yeah, these are nice soft peaks. Like this or a little less would be what you'd want to fold it into a souffle or a cake. But to have it be meringues, you do want it stiffer. So you're gonna turn the mixer back on, and you beat it for a couple more minutes. We're gonna put in a little vanilla, probably in this case about a half a teaspoon. At this point, you could, instead of vanilla, you could have put in coffee, instant espresso powder, which would have made a coffee meringue. You could have put in cocoa, sifted cocoa, to make a chocolate meringue. When you know that the meringue is plenty stiff, you can see that the peaks are stiff. You turn it off. Yeah, that's very stiff. Stiff, stiff, stiff. Okay. So now here's a trick. You have a piece of parchment paper and a cookie sheet. This is what you're gonna cook the meringue on. So you make these little dabs. It's gonna be like glue. You turn it over, and this is gonna make the paper stick to the cookie sheet, because otherwise what happens is when you start putting the meringue on it, the paper wants to come up. So the next thing you do is you take your beater and you get all the meringue off of it, okay? Then you take the rest of the meringue. What I'm gonna do is make one big meringue shell. And really, if you follow the steps I told you, it will always be perfect meringue. Meringue is not hard to do. People are scared of it, but they're wrong. It's very easy. You can just make it into any shape you want. But see, when I was doing this, if I hadn't stuck the paper down, the paper would start sliding around. All right, I'm just gonna make it into kind of a bowl, because later I'm gonna fill it, and I'm gonna put it in the oven, a 200-degree oven. And you really want to cook it a long time. I'll probably leave it in there maybe 6-7 hours, and then I'll turn it off and leave it in there overnight. Just so you see what they look like when they're finished, I made different sizes for you to see. And this is like a meringue cookie. And this could be an individual meringue. You could fill it with fruit or with ice cream, or with fruit and ice cream. And this one you could fill similarly with fruit, or fruit and ice cream and whipped cream. And you could, then this one, you'd cut it like a cake into individual portions.